Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be making a dry rub rib on a new pit boss that I picked up. Happy 4th of July, everybody, and this is a perfect recipe to go for this weekend. Okay, we got coarse salt, coarse black pepper, brown sugar. Now the chili that I use, since I'm from California, I have an abundant amount of spices I get, and one of my favorite ones is California chili powder. This chili powder is not spicy, it's got a good flavor, and it adds really good color to whatever you add it to. Smoked paprika, granulated garlic, granulated onion. Now this is where some of my Mexican heritage kind of come in. We got some oregano, we got a little bit of cumin, and now to add the heat, we're gonna be adding in some cayenne pepper. Now you could double up on this if you want a little bit spicier of a rub, but the amount that I have it just kind of keeps it subtle. So just a little bit of cayenne to your preference. Now the reason why I'm showing you all these ingredients right here, because I'm the type of person where I don't have a cabinet full of different rubs. I don't really honestly buy rubs ever. And you know, people would send them to me and everything, and they would just sit in the cabinet for a very long time. I'm the type of person where I make everything from scratch. That's how I learned barbecue. You know, you start off with a rub, and the one that showed me how to do barbecue, he told me not only is the cooking process of everything, but he told me that your barbecue stands out by how good of your rub is. So this rub has actually been in development for probably about 15 years. This is kind of like my Mexican style barbecue. That's something that I've always wanted to craft, but this is it. This is something that I created over the past years. It's had many different variations of it, and I finally just said, you know what, I need to start writing this down, and this is it. All right, so we're gonna take all of our spices here, add into our bowl, and give this a mix. Okay, the only thing that you really have to pay attention to is the brown sugar. That kind of sometimes doesn't break up. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll put it in a small little blender, but this is a little bit too big for that little blender that I bought, because I would do these in smaller batches. So all we really have to do is just kind of dry out that brown sugar with all the other ingredients, and just takes a little bit of stirring and crushing. And if you're having a hard time smashing up all that brown sugar, let's get you a bean smasher. All right, now that you got everything incorporated, everything blended well, like I said, I would usually put this in a small blender, but this is a double batch, so I'm actually gonna just leave it like this, so that way I can get some of the coarser parts of the seasoning onto the ribs. But we're looking good. Let's go ahead and put this in a bottle. So we have our slab of baby back ribs. Now baby back ribs are probably my favorite. So the first thing that we're gonna do, as you can see, this is kind of already butchered a little bit. We're gonna be taking off this membrane. So this is probably gonna be a 2-part session because it's cut right here. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take the back end of a spoon or a fork, and we're just gonna kind of just squeeze it under there. And then we can pretty much clear out the rest of it. Take your paper towel, lift up and get some grip with that paper towel. It looks like we're gonna get most of it, but yeah, with this slice right here, I'm gonna have to come back in. Okay, so got the membrane off. Now we're just gonna hit it with just a little bit of mustard, just to kind of make it a little bit more tacky than what it is. Not a whole lot. Now I don't have gloves, I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've done some barbecue. Okay, so we'll go ahead and season our ribs on just a little bit on the back here. A little bit on this back end right here. This is where I like to focus most of my attention. Now I'll probably apply a little bit more rub. Since this is a dry rub recipe, I'm not gonna be adding any barbecue sauce to these. I mean, you can add barbecue sauce if you want to, but today's just a dry rib day. Dry rub rib day, that's what we're gonna be calling it. Okay, so now I can just pack this on. Pat that in a little bit. I'll get this top portion. Just gonna sit in a little bit. Just a little bit more right there on top. Right there. So this seasoning is a little bit, not as a lot of sodium compared to some other rubs. So I designed it to get packed like this. So just go ahead and do a final pat. All right, our rib seasoned up. We're gonna go ahead and put it to the side and let it sweat. All right, so to start off, we're gonna turn on our pit boss. We're gonna hold this button for a few seconds and get like a cool little animation going. So we're gonna set this to, we're gonna go to 250 degrees. I don't like this little button thingy. You gotta press it there. Set to 250. And we're actually gonna put the P setting. We're gonna go to smoke and we're gonna do P4. P4 is a pretty good, and to change it, you just rotate it, go to P3, P4, P5, P6. But P4 has been pretty good. It gives it some good smoke and keeps a good temperature too at 250. This is a little different compared to the Austin XL that I used to have. This one's really, you dial it in, it's on the money. So what we're gonna do is come back this way. Let's go to the main display. You'll see hold the prime, which when you first start it off, this will be flashing, but you'll actually hear some pellets dropping in. And then pretty much from there, we wait. After a few minutes, you'll hear nothing pretty much, but after a while, you'll start to see smoke coming up. The smoke channels are actually through the side and through the back, so that's where you'll notice smoke coming from. So down here is the chamber where you have your fire pot and everything, and then you have a water trough right here, grease tray, and then your grease system goes back there. But this system's really quiet. So you see it smoking, burning up right now, but when this fan kicks on, you can't even hear it. Now the pellet cup actually caught flame, and you can actually barely hear it, but compared to my pit boss and the mechanics of everything, this thing is just way quieter compared to what I used to work with. So it's actually lit. I'm gonna close it up, let it come to temp. All right, once your smoker's up to temp, right now would be a good time to start cleaning off some of this old stuff. Now the rack that I'm putting the ribs on, I took that out and cleaned up the side. But I'm gonna be cooking some chicken and stuff later. As you can see, this thing can fit a lot of food. All right, so here's our ribs. As you can see, they already sweated out, so this rack's already clean. We're just gonna put this in. All right, close it up. Let's separate these just a tad bit. Now, since the heat and stuff comes from the side and the back, we'll be rotating these later on. But we're gonna let this go for about 2 hours. All right, so it's been 2 hours. Now we're gonna go ahead and check on it. Now we do have water in the water pan down there, but I am gonna check it to see if we need a spray. Bark's nice and set. These ribs are looking good. Got a nice color from that smoke. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna rotate these. Because the heat comes from the back and the sides, so right here in the front, obviously nothing hitting them. So we're gonna just let those go up. I got some veggies that I'm gonna be throwing in there. I throw in some chicken. That should be done in about the next 45 minutes, so we're gonna throw this in there. A little bit on this end right here. All right, it's looking good. Still got water in the trough down there. So we're gonna close it up, let it do a thing. I'm probably gonna let it go for another hour, so this has already been 2 hours of cook time. Another hour and we'll wrap them. See you then. All right, so it's been his 3rd hour. We're gonna check on these ribs. As you can tell, they got some nice smoke on there. Got good color. So I'm gonna take these out. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap them. All right, so I got the ribs all wrapped up. Got a little bit of apple juice in there. Just kind of add a little bit of sweetness. Counterbalance some of that spices, the chilies that we put in there. Now the ribs read about 145 degrees, so I'm gonna try to bring them up to about 190 degrees. So I'm gonna let it go for like about another hour, and I'll check back. All right, so after the hour, I had checked it. They still needed a little bit more time, but they were temping really close to 190 degrees. Let's go ahead and check on them. Now, how I check on them is I check for feel. See, if it got a little bit of bend. I think I punched a hole in one of these. I got leaking all over the place. All right, so that one's about, for my taste, I like ribs, especially baby backs, because I like a little bit of bite. So about 194 degrees is what I try to get it to. All right, so here's our ribs. Now, recap on the recipe: we smoked them for about 3 hours, and then we wrapped them, and I cooked them for about an hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half, and I let them rest for about 20 minutes before I unwrapped them. And the internal temperature of both ribs were in the 190s. Now for me, this is all subjective. This is to your preference. Now me, I like a bite off the bone rib, and that's roughly about 194 to 196 degrees. If you want to fall off the bone, take it above 203. But trust me, give it a try. 195, let it rest, you'll have a good rib. So, bring this right here. Slice this little portion right here. Nice little smoke ring. So let's call it my name. Nice and juicy. Let's get it. All right, so what to do with these? You can put some barbecue sauce on there. You can eat them just like this, or you can even do what I do. I like to put salsa on them. They're really fantastic. So that rub is kind of like a Mexican style rub, Mexican inspired. So let's get into this. Cheers, y'all. You see that? That little U, about 195 degrees is where you want them. Bite off the bone. Pretty clean, y'all. Well, my carnivores got something to eat, so I'm gonna just slice these up and let them get into it. But thank you guys for watching, and you know what? Have a safe and beautiful 4th of July. God bless America. God bless you. Take care, y'all.